As the nation and the world continues to mourn the death of the Reverend Jesse Jackson, the people of South Carolina will pay their respects in a big way. Joining me now is civil rights activist Dr. Jim Felder. Dr. Felder, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So on Monday, March the 2nd, the Reverend Jesse Jackson's body will lie in state here at the State House. How significant is that for people who may not understand?
It's very significant. Normally, to lie in state is usually kind of reserved for politicians, ex-governors, but this is different. This is different. The last person to lie in state was Clemente Pinckney. Of course, we know his role. He was a South Carolina senator and a House member also. So the governor, the Senate, and the House has to approve ones who lie in state. We were able to get the Speaker of the House, and had no problem to accept it. Peeler, who was the President of the Senate, and then, of course, Governor McMaster. And Governor McMaster is going to lower the flag to have staff also.
And speak to that historical significance, because obviously we know the Reverend Jesse Jackson was from South Carolina, and we know South Carolina's history when it deals with racism and the civil rights movement as well. Yeah. So here we have a civil rights advocate who's going to lie in state at the State House.
Well, he's the son of the state. A lot of people don't know that outside of South Carolina. They just think he was born here and that was it. But he grew up in South Carolina, in Greenville, graduated from all-black Sterling High School in Greenville. Early on, his first activism in the state was the library in Greenville. They wouldn't let blacks use the library. And he and D.D. Wright and 6 others staged a sit-in at the public library in Greenville. That was the beginning. That was 1959. You know.
That is not far from where we are now, 2026.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that was his beginning of activism. It all really started with the NAACP Youth Council, which he joined. Same thing happened with me and Jim Clyburn. We grew up in Sumter, and our political beginning started as members of the Sumter NAACP Youth Council, where we staged sit-ins and all of that here.
And here, wow, so on the national level, there were calls for his body to lie at the Rotunda at the Capitol. However, that was denied by the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. Many people thought that there was something nefarious about that, but we've since learned that other individuals have been denied, like Charlie Kirk, et cetera, et cetera. Speak to that to kind of let people understand that process.
Well, Rosa Parks did lie in state at the Rotunda in the nation's capital. It's kind of subjective, but again, you're talking about figures who done things politically, who served in the Congress. So we weren't upset about it. We just thought that they might have twist the rules a little bit, you know, but it didn't happen. So instead, he will lie in state at Howard University.
Okay.
After he leaves here on Monday, or Tuesday morning, they'll take the body up to Washington and he'll lie in state at Howard University.
The significance to Howard University for folks who don't know?
Well, you know, it's the first federal land-grant college. Howard is funded directly through the Congress, in addition to tuitions and that sort of thing, but it gets its funding from the U.S. Congress. And as a result of that, but then of course you've got historical figures associated with Howard. The founder of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Ernest Everett Just, who was a Charleston native, taught at Howard. He was one of the founders in 1911 when the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, you know, Just is an Omega.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll see that, I'm sure, at the funeral.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll be speaking about that here in Columbia on Monday. We're going to have a short program at the State House. And Jim Clyburn, the governor, myself, several other people, but I will be talking about his Omega connections and so forth as well.
And so speaking about that, so you worked alongside Jesse Jackson, so you're not just somebody who says, oh yeah, I know him, but you know him.
Known him since childhood, since 13, 14 years old. His mother was a beautician, my mother was a beautician, Jim Clyburn's mother was a beautician, and they would drag us along to the beauticians' meetings, okay, to the beautician here in Columbia. And that's when Jesse and I made the connection. Back, I was 14, he was 12. I'm 2 years older than Jesse. So we go back that far, okay. And then I worked with him directly. We campaigned for Jimmy Carter in 1980. Carter did not get reelected. Then Jesse said to me, Jim, homeboy, he always called me, you need to come spend some time with me in Chicago. I've got a plan to attack corporations who are not doing the right thing. I dropped everything I was doing in Columbia, followed Jesse to Chicago, spent 3 years there, and we knocked down corporate doors. That's when he put on his silver, S-I-L-V-R, civil rights hat. Okay. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And we made corporations do the right thing. We began with the soft drink industry. Coca-Cola, king of the soft drink. We went to Coca-Cola, said, listen, if you don't do A, B, C, and D, we're going to call a selective buying campaign and ask black folk to drink Pepsi-Colas. If you don't do, Coke fell in line. Put blacks on the board, gave up franchises, and put a lot of money in the HBCUs. Then we went to PepsiCo, had no problem. We did the same thing with McDonald's and Burger King. The McDonald's you see here in Columbia, Willis Langley owns a few of them. All that came out of that effort.
So, wow, so that, we're talking a lot of heavy movement that Jesse Jackson was responsible for. There might be some people who may not understand the gravity of what he did. You know, we know the figures, we know MLK, we know that. Yeah. But Jesse Jackson in his own right was a pioneer.
He was. He joined Dr. King in 1965. You know, Jesse was supposed to go to law school just as I did. But instead he went to seminary. In 1965, he joined Dr. King on the march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, and that's when he really locked into the civil rights struggle. And from there, started Breadbasket in Chicago, which became Rainbow Coalition later on. And then, of course, you know about his run for president 2 times and all of that. But it's these other things people don't know about, you know, like the economic stuff we did. And he was just, he was a guy who, he mesmerized. You couldn't say no to him, I guess. And that's what happened with me, too. I had other things to do, but when he convinced me what needed to be done economically to support black businesses across the country, I couldn't say no.
No regrets?
No regrets, none at all, none at all.
In the last few years, we've seen a number of civil rights fighters and warriors, I could say, who have passed away. Congressman John Lewis, yes, Congressman John Lewis, MLK's sister, Christine Ferris. We also had Harry Belafonte, who helped in part to fund MLK and the Freedom Riders. What do we have to do to make sure this generation doesn't forget?
We have to, first of all, put it in a place where they can have access to it, like the South Carolina Civil Rights Museum in Orangeburg that Cecil Williams has developed. Artifacts and videos, all of that is in that museum now. We're in the process of moving it from a smaller location to a larger location. That's one way they can do it. They need to do more search online. You can almost find anything online, but you got to go to do it, because they're taking it out the textbooks. You don't get it in school anymore. So we have to preserve our own history, and that's what we're doing in Orangeburg with the Civil Rights Museum. But if you were to go there, you will see Jesse, and you'd see everybody from Mahalia Jackson.
Yes, I've been at the museum. I spoke with Cecil Williams prior to before, and I mean, it's a treasure.
It is.
To be there.
Over 6,000 artifacts and photos. Ran out of space, but we got the city of Orangeburg and the county of Orangeburg to build a new structure, which will open several months down the road. The building is finished. We just got to move into it now.
Absolutely.
And as a result of that, we are able to display and exhibit the Briggs versus Elliott lawsuit out of Clarendon County.
Which is huge.
Everybody knows about Brown versus the Board of Education, but it was Briggs versus Elliott that started that track. It was the first case at the Supreme Court. And those families, some of the descendants are still around. So all of that is in the museum. So we have to encourage our young people, go visit that museum. South Carolina was the last state to have a civil rights museum. Every other southern state has one. Some have 2. In Alabama, there are 2 civil rights museums.
Wow, so here we go. So definitely we can't wait for that to open up. And so for the celebration of life for the Reverend Jesse Jackson will be Friday, March the 6th in Chicago. Will you be there?
Yes, I'll be there. Okay. That's the final step, final leg of it, yes.
Wow, and have you been in contact with his family members?
Oh yes, I talked to Jackie every day here in the last, his wife Jackie, in the past week or so, I guess. She was a Virginia girl. They met in college at A&T, and The issue was, where do you bury him? You know, because he spent all of his time, adult time, in Chicago, but he was born in South Carolina, high school and all that. But all of his children, grandchildren, everybody's in Chicago, so they can take the body for final bouncer there.
Wow. Dr. Jim Felder, civil rights activist yourself, you've done so much for us as well, so we want to thank you. And thank you so much for talking on behalf of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Okay.